It's these characteristics that have the youngest of 9 children. She grew up dancing, singing and performing alongside her, like her brothers, was possible.
Let's hear Jackson!
Generation of many fans worldwide. Their performance alongside Justin Timberlake during the 2004 Super Bowl show. The slip up or slip out prompted moral action, and it's right Michael never too headlines or courtrooms. As children, Janet and Michael played the piano together. They have both been pillars of strength to each other in times of need, and Janet is always by his side. Through the heart
Premier. He came in a privately registered Land Cruiser VX, similar to the one he used as Premier. Mbabazi's driver parked in the space reserved for the Prime Minister, but the traffic police officer flagged away the car and the driver obliged. Mbabazi disappointed the hordes of journalists eagerly waiting for him. The flamboyant politician then walked into the August House and received a rousing welcome from MPs, both on the ruling NRM and opposition side. NRM legislators struggled to bring Mbabazi to their row, and he eventually chose the third row from the Speaker's table. It is the first time Mbabazi will sit on the backer bench since 1996, when he was elected Kinkizi West MP. Quoting from former Prime Minister Apollon Sibambi, Deputy Speaker Jacob Olanya counselled Mbabazi.
In politics, the minute you enter it, you spend your life in the departure lounge. You do everything, you think, you prepare everything, but you are actually in the departure lounge. That means anytime, for all of us, by the way.
So now that the former Prime Minister has entered, can he be formally initiated into the backbench? And we allow him to give his maiden speech.
Mbabazi's former seat as Prime Minister and leader of government business in front of the Speaker was empty because his successor, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, is yet to be approved by Parliament. Mbabazi walked out of the House after 40 minutes. Outside, I asked him whether he would stand for president in 2016.
Are you ready to candidate for the top position in this country?
And it is a request by so many Ugandans. They have expressed that support, that they want you to come.
Are you ready?
Now, may I repeat what I said before? That as far as I'm concerned, the President took this action. I obviously don't feel bitter about it because he exercised his full powers, and most probably he will explain why. And it's really not up to me to explain it. I think the onus is not on me. That's point number one. Point number two, I am okay. I have no problem. As you know, I'm the Secretary General of the party, and we have a lot of work to do. I will execute that. Two, I am a member of Parliament representing Kinkizi West, and I hope to do so effectively. I've done this for a long time, and I hope to continue, at least for the rest of the term that remains for this Parliament. Now, other speculative questions, please. I don't want to engage in speculation. I will, at an appropriate time, I am sure, address the people through the media about the plans that we have as a party, especially relating to the forthcoming general election in 2016. I can only tell you that we are preparing, obviously, as you'd expect, and we will be ready.
Babazi, who was Prime Minister for 3 years and 4 months, says the sacking has not changed his life. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
See the comments on Twitter yesterday as the former Right Honorable took his place, was a backbencher. Also, Mike Mukula thing there. You can go to
This pair sets up shop on Womb Street every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, entertaining passers-by with the steady, soothing tunes of the piano accordion. You just have to stop to listen to the ancient musical instruments played by Michael Kavuma, also known as Size 21, and his son John Mugaga. The two have earned the name from playing a range of tunes. Kavuma has played this accordion on this street for a few months now, but his music career spans over 25 years ago. He fondly recalls his youth when he shouldered the weight of a heavy instrument, traversing the streets to play for a few coins.
It was very exhausting, very. So I could move from right in the morning. By 8:30, I was already moving. Only to go back home after midnight sometimes.
Kavuma is an ex-seminarian who holds a degree in philosophy. After he left the seminary, he started teaching. This he did for 9 years until his passion for music took over.
This business of going for Saturdays, I no longer want to be just a mupakasi, so no. I must go and employ myself.
But the decision to leave his teaching job invited ridicule.
Father, I said, but this boy now has left, something mature and reasonable, and they went to, before they thought these people moving,
Kavuma's musical journey started in the seminary, and he boasts of being able to play an assortment of instruments, though he chose to dwell on the piano accordion.
You see it moving like this, like that, up and down, and you go the other side, you come back, and say, all that is very unique.
This love saw the father of 8 start up an orchestra. Kavuma says he realized the fruits this instrument could bear, and this encouraged him to develop it into a career.
It's very absurd when I go back home at the end of the day, minus 300,000 a day. It might go beyond, but at least the minimum.
This jolly man is a music instructor. He started a school for younger people, where one of his sons, Mugaga, was also trained. Mugaga studied carpentry, but he chose to share his love for music with his father.
Staying on this street was a bit hard on me. To me, it was very hard because I'm still youth. You know, abavubuka. We don't want this kind of situation. But now it's okay.
From morning to sunset, Kavuma and his son entertain the passers-by. They put out a small box where those who enjoy their music can drop a token of appreciation.
So I'm trying to publicize my business. So I must find somewhere to sit.
Often, especially during the lunch hour, they visit restaurants and play for people enjoying their meals. On Saturdays, Kavuma travels back to Kalungu district to join the rest of the family. We made a journey to Kalungu, and by the time we arrived, the family man had just returned from his garden. Here he lives with his wife and a few of his grandchildren. Some of his children work while others study away from Kalungu. As is typical of a musician's house, inside Kavuma's is a cupboard where he stores his most treasured possessions, his musical instruments. These range from the very traditional to the more modern ones. Kavuma cherishes all his instruments dearly, from the way he holds them to the way he plays. Kavuma's wife, with whom they've spent 25 years, is also a musician. When the two of them sing to the tunes of the accordion, it is a perfect match.
At first, I didn't like it. But because we earn a living from it, I now like it.
Music in this home seems to run in the blood. Kavuma has also started training his grandchildren. Even the youngest of them can play a traditional drum. The 57-year-old is proud of his many achievements that have come out of his career. One of them is the first car he bought. He also shows us his gardens and the land he bought, all from the fruits of his passion. Kavuma says he is what he is today because his parents stood by him even when they felt he could do better in teaching. And as we make to live, we visited their house.
From very humble beginnings of walking around town, trying to make a penny out of playing the piano accordion, Michael Kavuma is now one of the people who own a lot of property. Now, upon this very land, he wants to put up a music school that will see the musical seed he sowed some time back sprout. Gertrude Tumusime Uitkware, NTV.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's the 24th day of, I was going to say December. I'm already feeling like Christmas, man. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah, around this time, the Christmas feeling kicks in.
Absolutely.
That day, ain't it? Because I'm going to put the Christmas tree in my house in October.
That would be so early, though.
You're going to do what?
The Christmas tree will go up in October.
Yeah, you have a little boy, so it's very much understandable. What would the Christmas tree be doing in there?
No! You see, last Christmas, man, the thing just came and I was like, hey.
It hit you, boom, you had no clue.
Because somehow the work was too much. So this time I'm not, at least I'll experience it in October.
I got some news from a very reliable source this morning that Mbabazi has joined FDC. You guys have not heard?
Reliable?
Very reliable.
I would question that 3 times, actually.
This is a story. There's a farmer in Bushenyi district called Fulgency Mbabazi that has joined the Federation for Development of Coffee. It's a coffee farmer-led organization. You know, they're helping farmers, you know, to reap a lot better.
Joel, thank you so much
very
for that
reliable information, my friend.
And let's get on. Mbabazi is in all the papers.
Absolutely.
The Red Pepper, the
Mbabazi.
Monitor, the Observer. What is in the Daily Monitor?
Mbabazi continues to make headlines now. The Daily Monitor has it that Mbabazi's first day as a backbencher. And as you just watched on NTV, we were there. We captured the whole news there when he was coming in and Agnes Nandutu telling us that his car where he normally parks, they chased the driver away, and of course they did chase the driver away to tell him, please.
The driver didn't get the memo.
This is no longer your parking space.
Yes.
Please go to the general.
He's no longer the leader of
General Happiness.
Yes. And when he came in the floor,
I'm told he stayed for about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, he was there.
He had to attend to national duties.
And Cecilia Gwal came out and said, can we officially welcome Mr. Mbabazi into the backbench as
and
a
then
backbencher?
what? Officially, and then what? Look, I imagine we are paying too much attention to this man, Mama Mbabazi, and we need to move on. And maybe I would blame we in the media as well, you know. we need to move on. This
Joel,
country is bigger than Baba's.
This is
a top
important.
story here.
Oh,
We're
come
talking
on.
about Joel.
Maybe we are dwelling too much on it. We are giving him too much credit. And by the way, he's chewing on it. You know, he seems to be enjoying it because, you know, we are building his political capital. No, I think
I cannot
somehow
imagine,
we need to move on.
Joel, I cannot imagine what Mbabazi was going through that time. You know, you're used of sitting on the front bench.
From the time you literally joined politics from
Absolutely.
1996,
And now,
he has been at the front.
And now you are in the back and everyone is laughing. And I don't know if it was laughing or clapping or... I don't know.
Or probably saying,
I can just imagine what he was going through when he was coming to parliament.
Yeah, but you see, look, this guy is not the first to be fired. We've had people in higher positions fired before him. Vice presidents were including presidents, irrespective of how they were fired. Babazi, be the MP, the Chinchizi West MP. Leave us alone. I think we are spending too much time. You know, we need to discuss critical issues in this country, the healthcare, education, etc., etc. Babazi, for goodness sake, is not even bringing anything better on the table, like some people, gullible Ugandans do think. You know, again, I don't blame them because you see, a drowning man will hold on to anything to try and save them.
Do you
so
actually?
This is our savior.
So you do not think that the sacking of Mbabazi is going to change the political landscape here? Especially for the NRM.
Absolutely. That's a no question, Brian. It's just going to change the political
I'll tell you why this is a very big story. It's because these two gentlemen have been very close, very much like this. You tell me who Museveni has been closer to than Babazi, you know, for a very, very long time.
The more reason to argue that it's
that's the
going
point,
to
besides the
change
closeness.
the
But changing the political atmosphere in this country, political landscape, I don't think so. He doesn't fit in the opposition. He's failing to fit within the NRM. But anyway,
the Red Pepper this morning says he has just brought in awesome campaign cars and that he sits in a 1 billion shilling car.
The one
is
that
probably double armored. Yes, and you still think he's not...
You need to do a lot more than importing campaign cars to make it as president in this country. So his work is very much cut out. But the Daily Monitor tells us a lot more than just Mbabazi. Museveni's major political fallouts, they list out a number of people here. Besigye, Muntu, Sejusa, Bukenya. And it's interesting, when you look at all these people, about 90% of them, the fallout was as a result of the lifting of the term limits back then, you know, so they felt, wait a minute, I think you are towing a different line from that which we agreed to do, you know. But you see, for Mbabazi it's different. He has just been fired. These ones, I can cut them some slack. I can imagine they are more credible people, even if they might not be, you know. But Mbabazi...
Wow, Joel, that's very, very sharp.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you, most of the people here were Museveni's right-hand men.
Without a doubt.
Look at Bidandi Sali. Look at Eria Kategaya. I mean, here the Monitor says he was the de facto number 2.
Yeah,
you know, you look at people like Gilbert Bukenya who were by Museveni throughout. And look at Kiza Besigye. Look at Mugisha Muntu. These are strong people. But I would say that by the time Museveni makes a decision, he has calculated his moves. I mean, looking at Mama Mbabazi, like Joel was saying, that these were two close friends. By the time you decide to sack Mbabazi, you have calculated
You have thought about it for a long time.
You've thought about it, and you know that if this goes this way, I have a shock
No,
absorber.
I did mathematics at O level and A level, and I'll tell you, there are times we would calculate very well. You spend about an hour on one number and you think you have cut it.
And
the results come back and, my friend, it is 0 out of 20.
Well, on to other stories. In the other dailies, we have the Observer. Of course, the Observer is focusing again on Mama and is saying, ask why the president fired me. Museveni quotes on Mbabazi said, you to Mama, please come and join us. And Samujung and writes a very detailed article on the sacking of Amama Mbabazi. But a story that has caught my attention, the new premier, do they say premier-elect?
He's appointed, but he's not prime
health
minister.
He's still the health minister. Well, he's not been sworn in yet, but
no, approved by parliament.
He's approved.
Not yet.
Not yet approved. Health officials decry fake results in hospitals and tests.
HIV especially.
And we ran a story of a lady who faked results and gave to, a partner different results. And I see people doing that. I have friends who say, for me, before I sleep with someone, we must go for an HIV test. And I always ask them, what if they give you a wrong HIV test?
And that can happen. But look, before you sleep with somebody, do you know that it takes about 6 months for you to ascertain? Assuming you sleep with somebody today and you catch the virus, it takes about 6 months for you to actually show up in the test, But I think maybe the blame is on us as well, not just the health workers, because we are the ones who go and say, look, I know I am positive, but here is a choja mumiro. you give me negative results.
Yeah.
I'm getting married to this drop-dead gorgeous babe. I don't want her to throw in the towel. So the blame is both ways, the health workers, but we too.
Away from the HIV question, we have Nsenga gets 20 years for murder. Now, yesterday, according to the sentencing guidelines, I should say, Joel, that it is between 35 years and a death sentence. I mean, according to the Odoki, you remember the Odoki Commission, which did the sentencing guidelines, and they were released, I think, last year. Murder would call for between 35 and death. But the judge stands up and she says, you deserve 20 years. Now, the question would be, why did he deviate a little bit from the sentencing guidelines?
Did you hear the word he used? Guidelines. It's not cast in stone. So, of course, ultimately, it's the discretion of the judge. You could even have given her 10 years. I don't know. Of course, many people have been calling for the death sentence. I didn't think she would be given that or even life. That said, I was having a chat with a lawyer friend of mine. The death sentence in this country is actually really not the death sentence. You never get to
life in prison.
The way it is.
No.
And even
until the presidential pardon?
He calculated some gymnastics there, jargon that maybe we should have a lawyer one of these days that will elucidate further on it. But even life in prison is about 15 years or thereabout. You don't spend your entire lifetime, you know. So
you were in court yesterday.
Pretty much.
When the judgment was being passed. Tell us about the mood in the court.
I'll tell you this. For the first time, and you know, when Senga came in court, you could see, you know, you don't know what the judge is going to do. If it were you in Senga's shoes, you're in the dock and you're just waiting. Remember, the prosecution was saying hang her, practically. And you just see her and waiting for the judge to make her sentence. Her pulse, her heartbeat. And she was breathing heavily and the whole relatives just waiting. I'll tell you, court went to dead silence.
Deafening silence.
And
that's an oxymoron.
Oh
right
my
there.
God. And you can just imagine how she was just feeling to wait. But before the judge...
Could this be a relief for her?
I really don't think it was. Because when you hear her, when she was making her, her statement before she was being... Because the judge asked her...
there's a possibility that she could have been hanged. So
the judge was asking her, please make your final submission before I give you your sentence. And she was saying, as much as my in-laws really feel like heartbroken and bitter about it, me too, I feel bad, but I want to say that I am sorry for what happened. But even though the world looks at me as a criminal, in my heart I know I did not kill my husband. I did not murder my husband. And only God knows what really happened that night. But I mean, the justice system has dictated, and we'll move with what the judiciary has sentenced, and she will be spending 20 years behind Nigeria.
Uganda South Sudan police chiefs agree to end Moyo border route. This is a story we are going to dwell a little bit more on the big story with our very own Moses Akena. Trying to understand, how did this debacle get to happen and what is on ground? You know, Ugandans are fleeing, South Sudanese are fleeing, you know, people have left their
And he has camped there for a long time now.
Yeah, actually, the NTV's car was, the windscreen was just... it's down already. But also talking about what's making headlines in the Monitor, the MPs told to account for travel cash. Now, I mean, it's just disturbing. Here is the hunter being hunted, you know, because you have the likes of the investment minister Gabriel Ajedra being told to return 6.7 million shillings because they did not account for it. And when you talk to some of these legislators, they say they misplaced their accountabilities.
But gentlemen, let me ask you, in every organization, most people will prefer going for these up-country trips because of the extravagant per diem. Now, how do you expect me to account? I know a workplace where, you know, the employees wanted to put their tools down because management had decided no more per diem. And they're like, no, you have to give us our per diem, period. And when the management asked them to account for the per diem, they were like, just give me my money. I signed that I received 500K, and how I use it.
I don't know. I think it can be either way. What does the company expect you to do? It's two-way in the sense that you're going up country. We estimate as management that this is what you might need for your accommodation, etc., etc. Here you are. Go use it as much as you want to. You can sleep in a tenement structure and save, or you can sleep in a 5-star hotel and add a lot more money of your own, you know. But again, the other case could be, we're giving you money, you're going to account for the fuel, for where you will sleep, etc., etc. Me, my point is, I've said it again, that here again and again, that I'm a regulation freak. Whatever the regulations are that are on ground,
then you follow them.
Those.
Right.
Follow those.
But you see, it's disheartening for the parliamentary committee to say that these guys did not. So they're just saying, actually, the point is, if I can read it, they're saying it's abusing of travel opportunities because
without a doubt. But you see, many times I think we hound our MPs quite a deal, and I think we should, without a doubt. But how different is it from the rest of people in, you know, these corporate organizations? You go to fuel a car and you ask them to give you a receipt, and then you're telling the guy, you have put 50K, you're telling him on the receipt put 100K.
Yeah.
How different are you from an MP who will, you know, do away with 6 million shillings or that kind of thing? So
right.
Man, eat
pretty much the same.
In the Observer this morning,
man eat it where he was. That is why in Second Moses chapter 5.
he worked. Amama Om7, who was weighed and found wanting, and it's a feature that John Musinguzi writes about. Anna Tembo says we need a holistic approach to fight teenage pregnancies, and I can tell you I get scared every time it's holiday time because I know kids are going to steal their parents' cars and drive to Nakumat, open them, play, get down low and drink alcohol till 6 a.m. and then come back pregnant.
Very unfortunate, but again, so, much of the times it is men. They call them very old men pouncing on these young girls. I don't know. Me, I think parents need to do their job ultimately. Musisifa is back at Councillor Kanduko. There's the rift now. It's interesting, the KCCA politics, the twist of events there. You know, it was between now Musisi, Lord Mayor. Now the councillors, some of whom were against Lukwago, are now for Lukwago, and some of whom were against Lukwago are now for the man. And
Kanduo represents the Uganda Law Society in the council. But he was saying that Musisi is inflating the contract prices and is hiding away, is concealing documents, legal documents of the contracts.
I've always believed that if Senyonyi, you are a contractor and we tell you please work on this parking lot and you tell us I want 100 million shillings and you use 60 million shillings to work on the parking lot as per what we expected you to do, you can take the 40 if you want.
As long as you do a credible job. If you are meant to be
the job
four
done.
layers, can you ensure that they are 4 layers?
Four.
But you see, much of the time it's very rare that, you know, you'll get a contract of 100 million shillings and you use 40 million shillings to actually do the exact job. No. I imagine that in the whole planning, etc., all that has been catered for. So it is so unlikely that you will cut such a huge profit. But you see, it is alleged that Kanduho was asking for bribes from KCCA suppliers. At least that is according to investigations that are about to be done. So some think maybe that is where the rift is coming from.
He's unprofessional. It's one of those things that we'll be finding out later in the investigations. When
who is in this country of ours where meritocracy was thrown out the window? We have people
Joel,
based on their tribe.
What's our quote of the day?
By the way, talking about tribe, I must apologize to my friends from Busoga. I understand yesterday my Giga analogy rubbed them the wrong way, and I totally
so
understand.
please look into that camera and apologize to all the people of Busoga. Please do it.
All the people, but not just Busoga.
Everyone, go. Especially Tamale Mirundi.
Especially,
but let's start with Busoga. Let's start with Busoga. Please go.
Don't make a big deal out of it. No, it was not right. It was below the belt, and my profuse apologies.
All right.
We should do this a lot more. We should ask politicians to do this quite a bit.
We'll just look at seeds of gold quickly,
of
and
course,
then.
Seeds of gold. We're having people reaping big from bees. That is honey. Are you a beekeeper?
The bee eater.
Wow,
that wrap this up.
Adding value to maize turns Kaiser into a billionaire. That's something that you should actually start growing. I have a maize plantation. So
I've always believed that all of us are blessed in a different way. If you eat mukene at your home, it doesn't mean I should eat mukene. So when you eat Rolex every day, if I eat Rolex, it doesn't mean you should also eat Rolex.
What's wrong with your problem?
Yeah. I think that's the.
We need to move to the big story.
Well, please grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor, the Observer, and the Red Pepper this morning. Get the stories. Of course, we'll also be talking about the sports stories later with Isma Dakabachigongo. Coming up, Joel on the big story.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Babe, you know you are truly an angel.
Oh.
I love your walk, your smile, your laugh, everything. You know what else, babe?
What?
You smell. Oh no, I'm out of airtime. Shops are closed. I have to wait till tomorrow before I can get airtime. She would think I was saying she smells.
Get airtime instantly with your phone.
What?
Just use Airtel Money. Dial *185 #, select buy airtime, and follow the steps.
What?
Sorry, babe. My line got cut. I was just saying you smell better than any flower in the world.
Top up with Airtel Money and get 100% bonus airtime instantly with every top up made. Now that's 100% extra from Airtel. Dial *185 # to top up now.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
We transact every day, and for centuries, currencies have changed hands. Business is a must, and that is why Money Matters makes it a must to talk business.
The biggest market out in Uganda because of East African connections and business.
From farming to business trading, we give you all the angles.
When you're harvesting, that one is the most important part, which we have to be there.
We'll bring you all the details that doing business has to offer.
Thoughts of the business leaders in the market.
The airline industry doesn't operate like any other industry, where you go in and buy a shirt and this shirt is 20 shillings today, it will be 20 shillings tomorrow, 20 shillings.
The analysis of the costs and the income in the industries. From wherever we are, we talk business, and at Money Matters, where money indeed matters. Business is a must.
So, don't miss talking business with us every Thursday only on NTV.
Onyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, historic, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robbie van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Super Suarez. And that backs it up. And wraps it in. Checo finds the net in spectacular style. Penalty for Borussia Dortmund. He scores.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah, a musical venture that is entertaining.
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
educative,
It is not about just standing on stage.
informative,
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
and inspiring.
I have a goal of breaking it down.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna otereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
Coming soon on NTV.
East or west, they say home is best. Welcome to the Property Show, where we bring you an inspired world of real estate. We mirror the very essence of true architectural art. Wander with us about the world's best properties and count down with us the properties of the week.
The Property Show brings you beautiful spaces, exquisite construction ideas, easy style interior designing, and we bring you up to date with the industry. It's fresh, it's inspiring, it's The Property Show.
Coming soon on NTV. You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Just when we thought we had become friends with South Sudan, then simmering tensions began to arise after we did see some Ugandan officials arrested the other side during the census time, and now we are seeing clashes between the city residents, on the borderline between South Sudan and Uganda. Huts being burnt down, people fleeing their homes. What is all this going on? Why have we failed to deal with this issue as police? This is coming up on the big story shortly. Welcome to the big story. My name is Joel Senyonyi. Now, joining me this morning to try and understand what is happening in Moyo. We thought we have got a competent police force, at least so we are told. Why are we failing to nip this in the bud? And talking about police, joining me this morning is none other than the spokesperson of the Uganda Police Force, Fred Enanga. Good to have you here, Fande.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure being here again.
All right, and joining us as well is our very own Moses Akena. He's been on ground there trying to understand what the situation is like. Good to have you here, Moses.
Thanks, Joel.
Let me start with you, Moses. You have camped in that area for how long now?
For a week.
For about a week.
Yes, I
what
went
do
on
you
Wednesday.
see on ground? By the time you left, what was happening there?
Well, it was a very bad situation when we first reached the place on Wednesday last week. People were running up and down. There were many cases of injuries. We went to the hospital, Moyo Hospital. We saw so many injured people, as well as people who have died as a result of the conflict. On Thursday last week, it normalized, but Friday was the worst day when people were killed on Thursday night, and then the town descended into chaos. People were running up and down. The police were firing tear gas to try to normalize, and business was at a standstill in Moyo from that time until up to the weekend when it a bit normalized and people came back to business. But really it was quite a tense period there. Even for us, we also suffered the same fate when we were trying to reach the town.
Yeah, so one of our cars was hit, the windscreen was shattered. Afande, what is so convoluted about this particular scenario? Because people are dying, people have fled their homes, and there have been discussions between police here and police the other side to try and nip this in the bud. A couple of meetings held again and again, but we do not see things moving the right direction. What is wrong with this particular situation? What is happening?
All right, there were issues. When you have communal violence, then you need to dig deep into some of the differences that affect neighboring groups. Like, of course, the Kuku and the Madi have a history. They have, they identify ethnically, and they have been coexisting all this while. And if you, most of the cuckoo, of course, migrated into that northern part of Uganda. And as we talk, the Moyo as a district is dominated by the cuckoo. And now it has reached a situation whereby, because of that dominance, of course, there is a way that the district and other people start looking at another tribe, saying, okay, these ones are not the indigenous Ugandans, and they're already prosperous in our country, and so. So it is something that somebody has deep down the heart, such that if there is something that sparks off a difference between the two, that's when you have violence now erupting. But of course we have on both sides, we have the Madi this way and the other side, and as you know, tribes that are along a borderline like that. And there's been a history, of course, of those differences, Southern Sudan and then the northern part of Uganda, and there's been a lot of interventions, and it was all because we don't know exactly at which is the boundary line. If Ugandans enter into the Southern Sudan, they on the Ugandan side, and then, so that thing has actually been there. And until, of course, there have been several committees. I remember our heads of states at one time intervened in that.
And things didn't get any better anyway.
There was a committee that was put in place to get to establish the true boundary lines, so that it's demarcated, and we get to know if there is any the territorial integrity of each and every country. But of course, up to date, that has not been done. Now, with the eruption of this communal violence, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with their counterparts, of course, had some engagements 2 weeks back. They are supposed to meet again end of this month. Now, the South Sudanese, have 40 points where they features where they claim that, of course, this is our area. And we, the Ugandans, have 10 points, 10 features, which we are looking at. So when they come up, I hope they have the capacity, they have the competence to get to establish this time the true boundary lines of Uganda and Southern Sudan, so that there is a demarcation. And that will help resolve this problem, such that if there are any cases of illegal entry and exit into Uganda or into the Southern Sudan, it's easy to handle. Okay?
All right. Now, I know Fred will tell us that, look, the area is now a lot safer, and that is why, as government, they're asking people to return to their homes. Many of them have returned. But what you have been seeing on ground and hearing from people, are people ready to do that, Moses? Do they feel safe anyway? Because now a number of them are becoming displaced and so on.
It's true, many are displaced. As far as Jumani, yesterday we passed through the town and we found a temporary tent that was erected there at the district headquarters. But it's true, there's a lot of confusion in the town as well as in the district. You find people moving back and forth. Others are going to their homes, but most of them are leaving their homes. And usually, at the border points, there are so many homes that have been deserted. It's quite a very bad sight to see, because these are communities that have been living together for quite some time, and then now there's this mistrust. We don't know how long it will take for them to come back, to their senses and recognize each other as brothers and sisters. But the fact is, most people there say they've lost trust in security. That's why you saw many young people holding bows and arrows, saying that they're protecting themselves against attacks from South Sudan. But looking at what has been done so far, the joint patrols that has been proposed and yesterday effected, I think most of them will now have the confidence to get back to their homes. We thought after Saturday's meeting between Uganda and South Sudanese leaders, most people would have the confidence to go back home, but that didn't happen because they claim in the past they raised the same issue, but nothing was done. So maybe this time, because of this security presence at the border, the joint patrols between Uganda and South Sudan, we may see some actions or some confidence in the people to get back to their homes.
Well, this raises the issue of security. There's been a bit of trepidity, fear. People are thinking, look, we are incredulous. Police is telling us they're going to avail us security, but they do not seem to see that. And that is why hearts are being burned, people are losing their lives. And I think that bows and arrows, very rudimentary ways of protecting themselves. And of course, the police chief was saying, look, if we find you with any of that stuff, we are going to arrest you. So it is a catch-22 for these citizens because they feel you are not offering them the security that they should have. And even though it is wrong, they feel, look, when these guys come, we want to be very well equipped when they do.
Sure. Definitely, the situation should have been much worse if we had not increased visibility in the area. You get the point? So it is because of that increased visibility and of course the presence, the fact that people had started taking the law in their hands, barricading roads and so on, and that is something which we stopped immediately. And then they had started taking bows and arrows and all sorts of weapons in their hands, and we were arresting and also recovering and saying it is wrong for you to start taking weapons and this in your hands. But it had been, like I was telling you, it may not be a police problem.
No, well, the problem for police in this case is availing security, because if there is tension, people are fighting. When do you come in?
Yes,
because if you come in after lives have been lost, that is a tricky situation.
But then the politicians, there was the intervention from the Honorable General Moses Ali, and yes, he's very much conversant with the population, with the area, and of course there was that engagement on both sides. But that is how it has been. They decide, yes, we sit back, we understood. Then after 2 days, again, they rise up in arms and so on. So it's a tricky group, and but of course with this, the increased visibility, and of course with the joint patrols, the area has been effectively secured. And I don't see in any way any other clashes arising there until it remains now for the duty of these technical teams under the respective foreign affairs ministries to fast track the process of demarcating the area, so that it will be easy now for us. If there is any incursion, if there is anybody who has, illegally entered into the other side or this side, it is easy to enforce the law. Because now, along the boundaries, each of them is claiming right. You get it? They're saying, no, these huts here on the southern Sudanese side and so, and they feel that, of course, as a community, if they do ban that, it will of course, deter these others from, staying on this, in the area and push them much further. But we are saying no, until officially the demarcation is done, then it will be now, that is the stage that you can get to know which side now, who has claim of right over which land and so on and so forth.
Moses, I know you come from not too far from that area, correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, we can have police surveilling security and so on, but ultimately, the long-lasting solution one would think is the tribal issue dealt with, because if this one says you belong to the other tribe, so I'll come against you, you belong to the other, so I come after you. As somebody from that area, what would you suggest? What do you think needs to be done? Because yes, it is important that police avail security, but that is only temporary. That is in the short term.
Yeah, as you said, it's true. It's not just a security matter. First of all, the border crossings, there are 7 porous points where someone can cross over to South Sudan, and so that means the force they are putting in place won't be able to adequately cover all the areas that are the hotspots. And then yesterday I was chatting with someone, a peace activist. She told me, because this issue started a long time ago during the Anyanya rebellion in South Sudan, which means at this point the religious leaders as well as cultural leaders should be brought on board to talk to both communities to live as they have been living as brothers and sisters in harmony. But if it's just a matter of demarcating the border or having security presence there, it won't in the long run solve the problem. I think it's just having in place a mechanism where the 2 communities can live side by side and not having the kind of tension they witnessed recently.
Of course, the tension is really not just among the citizens. We understand even the two sides of police do not seem to have a very cordial relationship, Ugandan police and South Sudanese police. And one would imagine that actually exacerbates the situation. Yes, you meet publicly and you tell us you're trying to resolve this, but behind the scenes, you people don't seem to be in tandem. What is happening?
No, I don't think. We have a very good relationship with the Southern Sudan police. We even have conducted several training programs for their police officers in trying to ensure to professionalize, help them professionalize their police. And on several occasions, we've really had meetings. We have even police who we've attached to the South Sudan police to help in addressing issues regarding conflict with Ugandans along the area. So all that level of coordination that you have with your counterparts. And what we reached upon yesterday was something that is very, very positive in having the joint patrols, military as well as police. So let's see how we get. We started off, and of course, since yesterday, we've not had anything new, and we feel that this is going to work. So I'm very, very sure that it is nothing to do with either police or security and so and so. It is just the boundary demarcation. After that, we are able to protect. Okay, we are able to maintain rule of law within our Ugandan side. Okay, but you can't do that when you have, a boundary line that is unclear. You get it? You'll find yourself on the other side and they're saying, no, this is not where you're supposed to operate from. So let the technical teams clear the boundary issue, and then we shall be able to promote rule of law very, very easily. But right now, we are carrying out joint patrols which have already proved to be very, very effective. Okay?
Moses Akena, NTV reporter, and Fred Enanga, police spokesperson. Sure. Pleasure having you gentlemen here. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks. My opinion is coming up. It's an irony that a man who was hailed as a great peacemaker, somebody that loved peace, hailed from the African continent. That is one Nelson Mandela. But ironically, we seem to have conflict after conflict here in Africa. And we thought this would have dissipated a long while ago, but we seem to see, a simmering bit of it every now and again. Things get a lot more tumultuous. I don't know about you, but we probably need to get to a point where we respect one another. You may belong to a different tribe, but you are still a lot more similar to me than I am. And maybe a call on the South Sudanese, because many Ugandans are angry. They feel, all right, these gentlemen are now paying us for the good that we have done to them. We are helping out their economy. We are buttressing them security-wise. Police is telling us that they are helping them to standardize and professionalize their police and that kind of thing. I think we need to have some and see some brotherliness here. But also, Ugandans, we are told some of them in South Sudan are probably not keeping to their bounds. And I'm not talking about just country boundaries, but when they are there, they don't behave to their very best. So I hope we can resolve this once and for all, and Uganda and South Sudan get to be the good neighbors, the good brothers or sisters for that matter, that they should be. That's the big story for this morning. Thanks a bunch for joining us. Morning at NTV continues shortly.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
It's my time!
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV, thanks for the support. Log in, ndiwa nole ronzi zeko kakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's Login.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
20 entrepreneurs,
20 companies compete to get the funding. From different skills and experience with different ideas. Who will it be? On Kickstart, proudly presented by Now Breweries. Coming soon on NTV.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Log in.
This and more is all coming up this Wednesday at 7:30 only on the best station.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
My name is Cox, aka Mr. Showbiz.
Hey, listen, when I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fever.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby. Put UG on the map. Now come out, whoa. Now come out, whoa. Now come out, whoa. Now come out, whoa. Hey.
Tadi Muganda yagala munne kututumuka abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafuna mu bibanja mu Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come and love me.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Ansari. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
After 8, thank you so much for staying with us. It's Morning at NTV. I am told that along Katwe Road, abantu be Katwe, mutadeko TVs, muziraba right now, mwebale nnyo kutwagala. Morning at NTV nayo ebasamu ekitiibwa. Kati no mufune ka NTV Mobi mukatekeko ku simu so that you can watch us from your home up to your shops, then you can put on. But an insider has told me that along Katwe Road, all those shops are now watching Morning at NTV. We appreciate, thank you so much. And another taxi from Ntinda, which has a flat screen to work, is also showing Morning at NTV. Na conductor, make sure abakusasula sente. Thank you, we get the feedback. And of course, this is the most awesome breakfast experience in the country. We're proud to be part of your morning. Well, joining me this morning is Eric Muiruri. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did. Good morning.
Muiruri.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Oh, welcome.
Thank
Should I say Mambo VP? Salamza. Asubui. Eric is the foods and beverage manager at the Serena Hotel, Kampala. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about what you do exactly. I know it has something with the food. Is that what you deal with mainly?
In simple terms, we say that when you're in the food and beverage industry, and especially when you're doing food, you sell soup. So I sell soup.
That is the thing in the work that you do.
Yes, basically it's taking care of food and beverage, ensuring that when you come to the hotel, you have the best beverages ever. Whatever it is that you need, we have even premium brands, and the food is the best that you can ever have in the country or anywhere else. We compete with the best in the world.
Well, I've tested your food, and surely I think even the stomach gets shocked when it receives food from Serena.
It's a pleasant feeling.
Very pleasant. You have so many restaurants.
Yes.
In Serena.
Yes.
You can come and they are like 5 different restaurants. Tell us about those ones.
Basically, we have several restaurants in the hotel. We have a premier
increased visibility,
which is fine.
Which is like the 7-star.
Yes, 7-star, 5-star, 7-star service, 7 diamond if you want.
Awesome. Okay.
So then we have Explorer restaurant, which is Italian themed. So the menu is Italian. The beverage menu is also Italian. You'll come and have Italian wines from right from Kampala at the Kampala Serena.
I once had Italian food called Is that food there?
Yes, it is.
It's called
It's called
Okay.
Yes, and then we have our Lex restaurant, which is our main restaurant. It serves buffet, and it has got several themes over the week.
Okay.
You should one day come and try our lunch, themed lunch buffets. Swahili lunch. You have African lunch.
And you serve that on any day?
No, it's on different days.
Okay.
You have your Swahili lunch on Wednesday, like today, and you have your African lunch on Friday.
Maybe I'll come on.
You should come and try it out today. So we bring Africa to you.
Okay, Swahili.
Swahili.
It's African cooperation.
Yes, it is.
Yes. I'm also aware that you talked about your premium restaurant.
Yes, it is.
It's going to have something new very soon. Tell us about that.
We are actually having a new night. It's called Night of the Chef, where our executive chef at the Pearl of Africa restaurant will showcase his best, the best food, and we pair it with the best wine for a great experience. We want to introduce fine dining to Kampala. It's already there, but now we want to introduce it at a very special rate, such that you can come and enjoy the best food ever. You can have anywhere in the world at the Pearl of Africa restaurant.
Wow.
Yes.
So the chef, even if the chef is from Barbados,
yes,
they do it. The other day I hosted a chef from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Yeah. So during that night they come and showcase whatever they have to, and we eat it.
Yes, but it is the chef of our Pearl of Africa restaurant that prepares this food.
Okay.
It's fine dining. It's about 4 courses. You have your starter, you have your soup, you have your main course, and you have your dessert. But what is special about this is it is carefully done. Take a lot of time, take a lot of care for a great experience. The 4-course meal you're going to have at a special price, introductory price.
Man, you tell us about the price so that if we need saving, because if you look at my friend here, my bakabag needs to save for like a year. So tell us about is it very expensive?
No, it's not very expensive. These are foods where you go in the world, you'll spend anywhere from $100 per meal.
Wow, that's about 200,000.
That's about 200,000. Or 200, actually 250,000. But then we are giving it at an introductory price of only 80,000 for a 4-course meal.
80,000.
You Uganda shillings. That's about $35.
Are you joking?
Quick mathematics. I'm not.
Ah, boss, you can surely you can take the China out for that. 80K.
80,000.
Wow.
Shane de Rotissier.
It's a restaurant.
No, Shane de Rotissier.
What's that?
It's an organization in the world for people who love fine dining. Pearl of Africa restaurant is a certified Shane de Rotissier restaurant.
Wow, okay.
So anyone who is a member of Shane de Rotissier in the world will come to Pearl of Africa and will be sure to enjoy food as they would enjoy it anywhere else in the world.
Right.
So that is the sort of food that we're talking about, because fine dining is all about the experience. The chef takes time to prepare the food, takes time to pick the ingredients, takes time to infuse and incorporate everything else, all the ingredients to come up with that one dish for that one person. The waiter will take their time, the manager will take their time to ensure that that food gets to the table as the chef intended it. The guest also takes time to enjoy the food, taste each and every flavor in that food.
Like I guess some beer company said, broad longer for extra something. Before I let you go and you go back and sell soup,
Yes.
any other things that Pearl of Africa does? I'm told you have a business lunch. If I want to get a client and I want to impress them, I can come with my Kalito money but still put them in a place like Serena. And also, what do you promise your customers going forward?
Tell you what, Brian, if you have that deal that you must make, Pearl of Africa is the place to have your lunch. We guarantee you 45 minutes to an hour, you'll have had your 3-course meal. Excellent. Whoever it is that you need to break a deal with, they will be impressed. And that deal will go through. And it is still the same fine dining that you would enjoy over 2 hours, but now we have a specially selected menu that we usually do for lunch, which is a spacious menu. That is, we have already done the mise en place. You can choose from, like for the main course, you have an option either whether you take red meat, white meat, or vegetarian. Everything is taken care of.
Nice.
But we promise you that between 45 and 1 hour maximum.
The man will be signing the dotted line.
Yes.
What? How much is it?
The lunch is at 60,000.
But you guy. You guy. Any last words for your clients or customers, people who want to come to the Serena and and share that experience?
At the Serena, we guarantee you, as our guest, that you'll always get the best. You'll always get the best. You'll get the best service. You'll get the best food, and it's a guarantee that once you taste the Pearl of Africa or anywhere else in Serena, you'll never go anywhere else. And we promise to keep you. And the goodness is that we also take care of our repeat clients. So please welcome the Pearl of Africa. Thank you.
Eric, these guys host us every morning. We are always there and enjoying. I'm going to come for coffee today.
You're most welcome.
Swahili
lunch.
Swahili lunch.
Yes.
All right, that's Eric from the Kampala Serena Hotel. And of course, you can check him out. The chef special is starting on tonight. Tonight. And you can go and partake of that beautiful meal. Who is the chef in the things today?
He's called Chef Raphael Maingi.
Raphael Maingi, will be cooking the food tonight. For more information, go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course, tweet us at Morning at NTV. We'll give you that information as and when it comes. Stay with us, because when we return, everyday life. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Morning at NTV. Now, I will just take a look at some of your Facebook comments. And I asked you, the other day, guys, please make sure that you do not, that you take care of, the messages that you post, because some of them are really out of hand. And let me just get them real quick. These machines are all right. Before we had Moses Akena, who is a reporter here at NTV, and of course he was talking about the clashes at the Moyo border, and he said, we thought that after Saturday's meeting between South Sudan and Uganda leaders, most people would go back home. And many of you have commented. This thing is just loading. All right. He said, all right, just help me. Give me a couple of minutes here. He says that most of these tribal clashes need the police's intervention. That's why we had the about that. Now, some of the comments, like I told you, I can't read them here. They are really hectic. So make sure you go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and tweet us at Morning at NTV to continue that conversation there. Now, of course, this morning, it's Wednesday. It's a Health Wednesday on Everyday Life. Joining me is my very good friend, Dr. Nesta. How do you feel that your namesake is out of government?
Yeah, I would be unhappy, but unfortunately for him, he said he's not bitter. So since my namesake is not bitter, why should I be bitter? So I think I will take it easy and wish him the best in whatever he's going to be doing. He said he's going to be busy as a Secretary General and as an MP. He's my MP actually.
Hey.
Yes, he's my MP. So let him now concentrate on our constituency, come down, do us good projects, so that we can, we can be in, in Chintu. we get, let him come and do our road.
Yes.
We don't have chorus in Kanungu there.
Wow.
Yeah, so let him come and do
so for you, it's a victory.
Yes,
you have won as the people of
Let
Kanungu.
him come, do for us the tarmac, build for us our schools. We don't have a health center in our constituency. Let him come and do the hospital there. And then we become okay. Then we wish him the best in whatever he will do later.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. I brought you quickly to just help our viewers understand what we call tetanus. Every time a stone, you fall down, you get a border accident, people will tell you, rush now and get a tetanus injection. But first of all, define for us in simple terms, what is tetanus?
Okay. So in simple terms, tetanus is a disease which affects the body's nerves and muscles so that it causes them to go into what we call repetitive, continuous spasms. And their origin is from an infection that comes from the tetanus bacteria. So a tetanus bacteria enters your body through a site, maybe a wound somewhere, and then produces a toxin. The toxin moves into your body through the nerves, and once it reaches the muscles, then it causes spasms. So instead of your body being free the way you want it to move, your hands want to move up and down the way you want them, they go into spasms. They do not allow you to do what you want to do.
What is a spasm?
A spasm is where a muscle contracts and continues doing it continuously without your control. Without your control. So it does not allow you to behave the way you would have wanted to behave.
Right.
And that continuous spasm is caused by a toxin that has come from a tetanus bacteria which has entered the body. So that toxin stimulates your muscle continuously without your knowledge. When I do this, I have stimulated my muscle to contract and pull my hand up. So it's under my control.
Yeah.
But when you have tetanus, you continue doing this even when you don't want to do it. That's what we call a spasm.
So is that one of the signs and symptoms?
That is actually the major sign or symptom or presentation of tetanus.
Right.
Continuous spasms.
If your hand just goes up without you controlling it,
yes,
then there's likelihood that...
Think about tetanus as one of the possibilities. Because your body is not supposed to behave the way you don't want. You're supposed to control it.
Right.
But when it begins controlling itself without your knowledge, then there is a problem. And one of them is tetanus. And the difference between tetanus and a convulsion is, in tetanus, you are aware that the thing is going on, yet you cannot control it. But when it is a convulsion, like young children who have fever can begin convulsing. That one, they are not aware, they become unconscious. So,
are there other signs? I think that's very important.
Yes, that's one of the signs. Then the other signs can be neck pain. They can get neck pain and rigidity. So the neck becomes like retracted and stiff. They cannot remove it. Okay. Again, that is a bit confusing. Some people can say, could it be meningitis?
Yes.
But it's not meningitis. It is just the spasm of the neck muscles, which is making the neck to be rigid retracted and painful. So that is one of the other signs. Then also there was another thing we call the locked jaw or locked jaw. Actually, that was the first description of tetanus. People used to call it locked jaw disease. So the jaw becomes locked, such that you cannot open your mouth the way you want or close it. So you can.
So the baby is always like that.
The child, the child, even an adult. You are smile, what we call like a full smile. You are like smiling, yet you are not smiling. You actually the jaw is locked. So when the jaw gets locked, you cannot eat food, you cannot swallow, and so you definitely when you are not eating, that's a
Does
problem.
tetanus leave any permanent change somewhere?
Fortunately, no. But it does not. Once you recover from tetanus, you recover completely. There are no permanent, because it's not in the brain. It is in the muscles only. Things which tend to leave a permanent problem are those which have gone to the brain, like meningitis. But for it, because it is in the muscles, once you recover from it, then you have recovered. But the problem, it is largely fatal. Most of the people, almost 90%, over 90% of people who get tetanus, they tend to die, especially adults. So
they die?
Yes, it is a very fatal disease. That's why I'm giving it attention. Most people don't see it, they don't suffer from it, but yet I'm giving it attention. It's because it is a fatal disease.
Wow.
We can have, for example, 70 children admitted in the world with malaria, with pneumonia, with diarrhea, but they all go home. But only one child comes with tetanus and does not go home, dies. So because of its being fatal, it really needs a lot of attention.
How do you prevent it? And this will be my final submission, because I know you have to go and start the work right away. How do you prevent?
Thank you very much.
How do you treat and prevent?
So tetanus, fortunately, is a preventable disease. That's why actually I'm here, to advocate everybody, the public, the Ministry of Health, the government, everybody. Tetanus is a preventable disease. The most important thing is tetanus vaccine. So, first of all, to prevent it in neonates, because tetanus can affect young babies who have just been born, it can affect older children who are already in school going, it can affect us adults. Everybody basically can be affected, but especially in children who are growing and adults, those who are exposed to traumatic work. If you are working involves like people who are plumbing, people who are logging trees, people who go to the bush, metallic things, those people who easily get cuts are at higher risk. But basically everybody can get it. So the gist of the matter is on getting tetanus vaccine. Right. So one, to prevent it in young babies, all pregnant mothers should get tetanus vaccine. If the mother has never gotten any tetanus vaccine in their life, they are supposed to get immediately they go to hospital, the first contact. After 1 month, they should get another dose. After another month, they get a third dose. Then they can wait for 6 months and then 1 year.
Right.
Yeah. Then,
well, doctor, forgive me, I'll cut you short because I'm fast spent on time.
Yeah. But also, all of us, if you know you've not got tetanus in the past 5 years, you must get a tetanus vaccine. Don't wait for the wound. With or without a wound, every 5 years, every human being should get a tetanus vaccine, because the immunity wears down, so you have to get a booster dose. So every 5 years, everybody in Uganda should be getting a tetanus vaccine.
Doctor, let me make a promise to you.
Get a tetanus
vaccine.
Because
I'm really fast spent on time, okay?
Yes.
Let me make a promise to you. Let me invite you next week. We'll wrap up to tetanus and also talk about meningitis, because also I know many mothers, you know, are asking every day, how do I deal with, you know, meningitis in my
how
child?
do I prevent it from
yes,
my child from getting it?
Dr. Mbabazi will be here next week to talk about that. Submit your questions so that he comes when he has all the answers. Yes, okay. And of course we'll pass on those questions to you so that you come ready next week. The rest of you, make sure you stay with us when we come back. An update on my team that was thrashed yesterday. Isma will be telling me why. Thank you, Doctor. And we'll also be looking at other sports activities that have been going on. Stay with us.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
We win or they lose. Together we can. Uganda pains are
the weekend.
The official sponsor of the Uganda Cranes football team.
A wife who you got through the office will be very insecure about you working in another place.
Always hunt up, don't hunt down.
You mean what? Go after your superior?
How dare you suggest that when a woman is aggressed against, we should look at the person who's been aggressed against?
Let the couple be. Let them sort out their issues. When they need you, then you come in.
Prostitution is being given a new brand.
All I know is that I connect people.
Let's not choose to open our zips and do whatever our urge is, because I don't think that an urge is stronger than your will to say no.
People attach a lot of questions, shame to HIV.
I do not believe that when you wear a short dress, you should be around.
Marrying a wife is like having assured sex.
Anytime you come, you must have.
Yes. To raise a population that has no clue how to be men.
Can you bring out a quality family?
I don't get married for my family.
Men, every Wednesday only on NTV.
As we celebrate 8 years, NTV breaks new ground with NTV Mobi. You can now watch the news and any of your favorite shows anytime, anywhere. And to celebrate with us, text the unique code which will appear on your screen to Code 6 to enter a draw and stand a chance to win loads of gift hampers. And it even gets better. We have a grand prize of 100 motorbikes to give out in 100 days. NTV, we are definitely turning on your world.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Destiny River.
Don't do anything against Solano's life, because if you do, whether you believe in curses or not, I will make your life, what's left of your life, a nightmare.
If you are brave enough, you have a chance.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
18 on to 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's morning at NTV. You can actually catch us NTV Mobi on your smartphone. Download
a bit of 25 points weren't enough to help Uganda win, and I think it's because many knew there wasn't a chance of beating Egypt at all. They are the strongest team at this level of FIBA Africa Zone 5. But there's so many positives I think the team could take out of this. The fight right till the end. You thought with about 5 minutes to go, Egypt leading by about 20 points, everyone would just go home and know we've lost this one, but they stayed as long as they could. And the team gave them something to cheer, losing the game by just the 9 points. And I thought by the end of the game, Uganda had earned a lot of respect from the Egyptians, and I think that's what the fans were cheering. But for all that cheer, it comes down to 2 games. Against Kenya on Friday, and then against Rwanda on Sunday. Uganda must win both. If they win those, rugby would have, or rather basketball would arrive at the biggest stage. They haven't been to, Afro-Basket, they haven't been to All Africa Games. They win those 2 games against Kenya and Rwanda, Uganda are through to the Afro-Basket for the very first time.
Right.
And the league hasn't been here for too long in basketball. It only started in 1995. So that would be a very big achievement for basketball in this
So our next game is
Friday against
Kenya.
Go say a prayer for this team. They need this result badly.
Tutapiga yeye. Alafu.
I wouldn't add a word to that.
Well, moving on to cricket, Uganda was supposed to host the World Cricket League, but it has moved to Malaysia. Why?
The ICC say Uganda isn't secure. And I'm thinking, exactly. 2 months ago.
Are they jokers?
They should be. The International Cricket Council actually did send a security expert here from G4S about 2 months ago, and G4S are the security brokers for the ICC. And
they have
found
their business here.
Exactly. They found Uganda unsecure, and especially because US was supposed to be coming as one of the 6 countries that are going to take part in the World Cricket League Division 3, and they had complained about security situation in Uganda. And yesterday, a media release from the ICC says Uganda is insecure and the tournament is going to be moved to Malaysia. Of course, Uganda Cricket Association is so disappointed. How could it be moved for anything that is security? I came to work, I expect to go home, and I'm thinking, who issues these drive advisories? Who issues these kind of things? You remember not too long ago, about 2-3 years ago, there were all these riots in Tottenham, where, of course, racially driven after a policeman killed, I think, a black Briton. And there were all these processes. Where's the drive advisory for traveling to Tottenham? But I think this is just a punishment for who runs the ICC. The Asians do, and they get to host the World Cricket League. I'm very disappointed personally. UCA should be disappointed because I'd spoken to UCA and they are making all contingency plans, including hiring as many police cars as they could, extra vans, having an ambulance move with the convoy from Hotel Africana to the venues for the games that is
for
in
every team.
For every team, just to make sure the tournament is hosted here. And all these mechanisms were being shown to the ICC, and the ICC said no, Uganda is insecure. And I'm thinking, come on, guys.
I think in the local dialect, they would have said, ICC and the Kaziza at least never to Gamba, that we don't have enough cricket.
With stadiums
or something. Not security.
Security.
Very disappointing. You see, you man. Sorry, really sorry for you. Still disappointing. Arsenal is out of the Capital One Cup. I'm not going to talk about that a lot. But what happened? Brian Tuka was telling me it's important for Arsenal to win every trophy.
It's very important to Arsenal to win every trophy. And now you have to zero it down to 3 trophies. They can win the FA Cup. They can win the Premier League. They can win the Champions League.
That's hard.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
The trophy they got dumped out of yesterday was the easiest of them to win, the Capital One Cup. Beaten at home 2-1 by Southampton, who came from a goal down to get the game. And I've got to say, for once, you couldn't blame us, because in many years you could blame Arsene Wenger for choosing the weak of his sides for this competition. Yeah, this time it didn't, because there was Jack Wilshere on that pitch, there was Thomas Rosicky, Okazi been playing well, there was Lucas Podolski on that pitch, there was David Ospina, who we all thought did very well for Colombia at the World Cup. But while this could be largely second string side, Arsenal had to win the game. This is the easiest trophy to win. And for me, the worry for Arsenal was that Southampton were the better side of the day, because you could come here and make all the kind of excuses that probably Arsenal didn't deserve to lose the game. I thought they deserved to lose the game by a bigger margin. Southampton were completely in contra at the Emirates, and for me that's where the bigger worry comes from. And I could almost sense that the criticism against Arsene Wenger is going to start to grow. They haven't been playing well. Okay, they won a game against Aston Villa over the weekend, but to get beaten at home by Southampton, who a team that are in a mini revival, having sold all those players, 9 players for £97 million, they've got to go and beat up on such teams, and especially at home. But I think on the night, Arsenal was second best and deserved to be out of the cup. Consolation is United also out of it already.
Well, I expected United to be out, but well, United need to win everything also. But a marathon penalty shootout for Liverpool. How soon will the memories fade?
It won't fade for quite some time. I remember I didn't watch the Africa Cup final back in 1992 between Ivory Coast and Ghana, and that went into the penalty shootout that ended 13-12. Eventually, the Ivorians won that one. Now this one ended 14-13, and it's not only about the penalty shootout. Liverpool took the lead twice. Middlesbrough came back into the tie, and actually it finished at 2-2. And actually is that while it was tied 1-1 after the 90, Liverpool go and score a second goal in extra time, and then you're thinking, okay, Liverpool have won. This is Middlesbrough, they come from the championship. Then Kolo Touré gives away a penalty in injury time or in added time in extra time. And then Middlesbrough equalize. Then you're going to see shootout, and the exchange goes on and on. You get dizzy. Someone goes into the shower, comes back, and the next day, and they're still taking penalties. Come at 1 a.m. People are scoring. This one is scoring. This one goes in. The next one goes in. And then thereafter, eventually, someone had to lose. Yeah. And Adama was the unlucky player for Middlesbrough, missed his penalty. Liverpool won this one 14-13. I think marathon penalties are built for memories, and this is one I remember, especially at the point when I saw Raheem Sterling walk out take his. I could almost sense that when they stopped the team in that moment, somehow my memory runs back to Roberto Baggio in 1994. I thought Sterling was going to miss his, and I was only talking to myself because I was watching the game alone. And when he missed, I was just saying, okay, he was supposed to miss that. Now, can someone else go and miss or score? Eventually, Liverpool won the penalty shootout 14-13.
You can't forget that.
You can't forget that in any way.
Well, tonight Chelsea will be playing Bolton. Man City will be playing Sheffield. You know, I saw Lampard very, very sad when he scored against his side, which I think is awesome. But let's quickly talk about one. Bayern, 4-0. We're talking about how they've had a slow start
to the season.
Yeah. Is this a good thing for them now, this win?
Yeah, they won the game by 4 goals, like you say, against Paderborn. This was billed as a top-of-the-table clash. Newly promoted Paderborn had not lost in their opening 4. They had won 2 and drawn 2. They had accumulated as many points as 8 in just 4 fixtures, and that should be a very good start for any team that is coming for German Bundesliga too. But travel to the Allianz Arena, they probably stood no chance. And actually, last night is the first time I saw Bayern have that movement, that fluidity going forward, especially because Ian Robben was back in the side after his injury problems. Mario Götze scored twice, Robert Lewandowski scored another, and then Thomas Müller got one of the goals as Bayern ran out 4-0 winners against Paderborn. You've got to say that we've got to see this a little more regularly from Bayern. And for me, one of Guardiola's biggest problems is how to get Lewandowski scoring often, because he's the guy they signed to carry the burden after selling Mario Mandzukic to Atletico Madrid. And they got him from Dortmund for particularly this reason of scoring. So he's got to go and score a lot more goals for them to feel comfortable. But of course, it's the kind of result you expect against Paderborn. I've got to say that people will start to judge Bayern in the bigger fixtures, and probably many of those won't come until they play Dortmund, or probably until they play a team like Chelsea in the Champions League. That's when judgment will come out for Pep Guardiola.
Right, there's a big one, Dortmund against Stuttgart.
Yeah, later tonight, Dortmund need to win. Remember, over the weekend, they lost their game against Mainz by 2 goals to 0. So Jurgen Klopp, after beating Arsenal by 2 goals to 0, eventually was taken back to school as they lost that game by 2 goals. So they need to win. And actually, they need not to fall too far behind Bayern already. And I've got to say that with a bit of rotation, I think they'll win this one. Shinji Kagawa should come into the side after having started on the bench against Mainz over the weekend.
Real Madrid have also had a very shaky start. But I think Brian was predicting that they'll beat Elche like 11 goals. But the star of the night, Ronaldo, bags a hat-trick. What does this mean for the club and him, of course?
25 hat-tricks for Real Madrid. Not so many players in world football score more goals than the games they play. Ronaldo is that kind of player. And I actually thought he scored 4 goals on the night, but football, it's a hat-trick anyway. There is nowhere we can say quad-trick. There is no quartet or quintuple in football somewhere. His 25th hat-trick, and I've got to say he should have scored more because he missed a penalty before Elche took the lead. And there should have been a few jitters inside Santiago Bernabéu venture when Elche had scored. But Madrid responded in the way they should have, and they scored 5. I've got to say that for all their inadequacies defensively, and I actually feel that they might struggle in the bigger games like we saw against Atletico Madrid. Having sold Xabi Alonso and Angel Di Maria, they are not very good winning back the ball. Because of the abilities of Toni Kroos, James Rodriguez, and Luka Modric, they are not in that area. But when they are going forward, oh my, they're beauty to watch, because Gareth Bale got the other. And already, now look at it, Ronaldo has scored 7 goals in his last, 6 goals in his last 2 games. Gareth Bale has already scored 5 in the league. And we are not yet even into the 6th fixture of the season. So I've got to say that when you look at it that way, Madrid are in a very, very good place. And that goes to say that the start of the season wasn't very good. But I think they're starting to strike the right chords here.
Right. Well, tonight we also have Atletico against Almeria. Malaga will be playing Barcelona. Moving on to Italy, Parma against Roma, Juventus against Cesena. That's how you pronounce it, Cesena. Cesena. And Napoli against Palermo. But Torres starting for AC Milan, and that was his dream debut. But AC Milan couldn't win.
Yeah, they went 2 goals down against Empoli. Empoli, a side who had only garnered 1 point from the opening fixtures, eventually Milan had to respond. And the biggest satisfaction that probably everyone had about AC Milan, they needed Torres to get an opening goal. You know, for strikers, goals are the drugs to strikers, what they are to an addict. That's a drug they want to take. Now, for Torres to score, and it was a brilliant goal. I thought the header was stuck right there in the corner of the net. It's something I have with AC Milan, that they are going to struggle to score a bit. They've been scoring goals lately, but you wouldn't get the sense because they scored against Lazio 3 goals and then scored 5 against Parma. I've got to say they don't have that quality striker going forward. And probably Torres is past his best, but they've got to deal with what they have. And for everything that they've not done very well, and everyone will go and criticize Filippo Inzaghi for not doing well defensively, because they still leak goals. They conceded against Juventus, they conceded 4 against Parma, they conceded 2 against Empoli last night. Everyone will look at their defense, but they're going to get in situations where they just need to score more goals than the opposition to win games. And I don't see that quality from AC Milan to go on and win as many games as they want at 3-2, at 4-3, all those kind of things. So for Torres to go and get a debut goal, I think it's big satisfaction for AC Milan, because they signed him as their big striker. He's supposed to be the guy who gets the goals after they got rid of Mario Balotelli, who is now at Liverpool. And that result, not the desirable one. And Milan, for me, played like they did on so many occasions last year. And everyone is covered with the
accountability.
Yeah, it's a bit of accountability. But this is one of the proverbs of all we've done. It's one I would go and preach every single day. We still need that conservative
but
nature.
Doesn't that validate, you know, our women? Like if you took a selfie, walked with my boo at here, you know, my boo just bought me this. That kind of validates the relationship and makes. I
think in this era where Kim Kardashian is the biggest celebrity, those are the kind of things you're going to face.
Release the selfie book.
Exactly. Exactly. So I've got to say, this is one of those. Please don't discuss your home affairs with anyone. It's got to say you've got to retain that conservative nature about Africans. In school, you know, when you studied ethics, it's called Ubuntu. If you've studied Ubuntu, yeah, it's exactly home affairs are supposed to be. There is African tradition. Before all this social media came up, and I'm supposed to take a picture with my wife to show you that I'm happy, or with my
on your world.
Use White Star Laundry Bar Soap with a lemon fragrance and you'll have a fresh, clean day. Be like a star. Use White Star.
Don't disturb Daddy. My dad is the star.
White Star Laundry Bar Soap. All day fresh clean.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah, a musical venture that is entertaining.
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
Educative.
It is not about just standing on stage.
Informative.
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
And inspiring.
I have a goal of like breaking it down.
Property show and inspire the world's best properties and countless easy style interior design show.
bakwaseye jali kasitofu bokumwesiga tali kusula